On the news tonight, Governor Sheriff Oborevwori calls on communities to embrace peace towards increased government presence. State government pledges readiness to give state-owned media organizations a facelift. Federal government plans foreign training for selected doctors. Abroad, U.S. Supreme Court strikes down efforts to disqualify former presidents from Colorado primaries. Good evening. Thank you for joining us on Delta Television News tonight. My name is Onome Iyarowe. Governor Sheriff Oborevwori has called on Deltans to embrace peace to pave the way for increased government presence in their areas. Governor Oborevwori made a call while addressing some traditional rulers, community leaders, security agents, and others in an advocacy workshop at Government House Annex Warri South Local Government Area. Caroline Obini has details.
The governor, represented by the secretary to the state government, Mr. Kingsley Emu, said peace was needed to successfully execute more projects for Deltans. He called on various community leaders to shun sentiments and stand by the truth at all times, as the present administration would not treat warring communities with kids' gloves. While emphasizing that the state had viable lands for investment, Governor Oborevwori explained that peace was vital to attract local and international investors to boost the state's internally generated revenue.
The need for us to institutionalize conflict resolution mechanisms. The state has numerous structures, or institutions, or platforms through which peace can bring within the environment.
The special advisor to the governor on peace building and conflict resolution, Chief Edwin Uzo, advised community leaders to pay attention to early signs of conflict in their areas and quickly address the issues as they arose to prevent crisis, as the present administration was committed to ensure that Deltans lived in a peaceful atmosphere. Chief Uzo encouraged indigenes of communities to remain good ambassadors by obeying the laws of the land, as crisis would take them back in all ramifications. Chief Uzo restated that many communities were lagging behind as a result of communal crisis in their area, noting that the state government would be committed to developing peaceful communities.
Addressing the crime prevention and control strategies, which refer to society's attempt to curb crimes before they can occur, rather than punishing them after they have been committed.
In their goodwill messages, the senior policy advisor to the governor, Honorable Funke Keme Solomon, the Pere of Akugbeneme Kingdom, Luke Kalanama VIII, and all the traditional rulers agreed that no meaningful development could thrive in a conflict society, and commended the governor for the workshop.
Different ethnic leaders, and so the ability to be able to live together is what the grant state that needed peace. And without peace, the government also cannot do anything meaningful.
Let me say it's important that every community leader should know that it's peace building. It is not we have peace in our families, peace in our communities, and the peace in our local government, and the peace in the state. And so it's important that we see our roles as peacemakers and peace builders.
In their separate...
The event climaxed with lectures and dance presentation. Caroline Ubini reporting.
Women have been charged to stand in the gap in prayers for their husbands to succeed in their endeavors. The wife of the state governor and founder of the You Matter Charity Foundation, Deaconess Tobore Oborevwori, gave the charge when she played host to wives of commissioners at Government House Asaba. Florence Oyibodoro completes the report.
Deaconess Tobore Oborevwori urged the women to always support their husbands, as no man could succeed without the help of their wife, adding that they were the bedrock of the society. While encouraging the commissioners' wives to be intentional in praying for their families and the states, to achieve greater feats in the present administration. The governor's wife reaffirmed that she was a mother to all and not to a selected few. She appreciated the group for the show of love and prayed God to reward them. Deaconess Obrewori said her pet project, the Humanity Charity Foundation, would leave no stone unturned in ensuring that Deltans fare the impact of good governance.
Pray for your husband, pray for your children, pray for the state. There is never a time that I say prayer is too much. 1 Thessalonians 5 verse 17 say pray without ceasing. So I want people to stand in the gap for your husband. Stand firm. Prayer move mountain.
The leader of the delegation and wife of the Commissioner for Power and Energy, Mrs. Ifechukwu Ehiwaru, said the group was in the government house to express their appreciation for the opportunity given their husbands to serve and to congratulate the governor on his victory at the Supreme Court. Mrs. Ehiwaru commended the Humanity Charity Foundation of the governor's wife for impacting lives positively, saying the body had good plans for Deltans and promised to support the foundation towards achieving said goals. Present at the occasion were the team of the Humanity Charity Foundation, including the Director General, Loretta Ogbedo Esquire, the wife of the Deputy Speaker of the State House of Assembly, Chief Ifoma Akpowo, and the General Manager of the Delta Broadcasting Service, Asaba, Mrs. Christine Emetulu. Highlights of the visit was the exchange of souvenirs. Florence Oibodoro reporting.
Another development, Deaconess Oborewori has said that a pet project, the Humanity Charity Foundation, is open to collaborations and partnerships with relevant agencies and individuals that supported the vision of the project to create a world where everybody is somebody. Deaconess Oborewori stated this when she received a delegation of the Delta COVID-19 Action Recovery Economic Stimulus Program, DCARES, on courtesy visit at Government House, Asaba. Florence Oyibodoro completes the report.
Addressing the group, the governor's wife said the objectives of the DCARES aligned with the missions of the Humanity Charity Foundation in providing support to the poor and vulnerable individuals in the society. She assured the group of her commitment to partner with them for the benefit of Deltans, saying the successful implementation of the various programs would add value to the more agenda of the present administration.
It's very important. People are suffering. Talk less of what is going on right now, the dollars rate and all that. You can imagine, even the rich, they are crying. Talk less of the vulnerable, the poor. God will help them. They are talking about palliative and all that. I believe that will not solve the problem. We need more. We need to do things that will make us to get out of this hardship, because it's affecting people greatly. So many things are going wrong. Crime rate is increasing, but God will help us. Delta State will be exceptional. Delta State will not be like other states.
The leader of the delegation and coordinator of the DCARES, Dr. Patience Ogbewe, explained that the program was a World Bank-assisted initiative aimed at assisting state governments in providing succor to their citizens affected by the COVID-19 pandemic. Dr. Ogbewe said the program was designed to support poor and vulnerable households with social transfers, basic services, and livelihood grants, while also assuring food security through agriculture, as well as extending support to micro and small enterprises, institutions, and individuals who were adversely affected by the pandemic and the prevailing socio-economic downturn, which has resulted in an inflation rate of 30%, with more persons now living below the international poverty line of $2 per day. Dr. Ogbewe expressed satisfaction that the Humanity Charity Foundation was ready to synergize with the group in implementation of the DCARES program to impact more lives.
The principles of your laudable project, I must say, align with that of the DCARES because the target beneficiaries are majorly the poor and vulnerable, especially children, women, and vulnerable men. We therefore hope to synergize with you as we progress in the implementation of the DCARES program, which is basically a social protection intervention which seeks to help disadvantaged persons reach and maintain adequate standards of living and good health.
Highlight of the visit was presentation of souvenir by the governor's wife. Florence Oiboduro reporting.
The state government has pledged its readiness to give its media organizations a facelift. The State Commissioner for Information, Dr. Ifeanyi Osfoza, made the pledge while addressing management and staff of Delta Broadcasting Service, DBS Asaba, as part of his familiarization tour of parastatals under his ministry. Caroline Ubini has details.
Dr. Osfoza said efforts were on top gear to revive the media houses to become the pride of Deltans and the envy of other media houses, and sued for cooperation from the members of the establishment. He sued for a harmonious working relationship among staff to enhance productivity and attract massive development to the broadcast outfit. The Information Commissioner urged the staff to shun the habit of petty gossip and telling tales about others, saying the character of an individual would always come out sooner or later. He said the importance of training and retraining could not be overemphasized and charged the staff to maintain and safeguard equipment in the station while warning against sabotage. Dr. Osfoza urged the staff to amicably work with the management to effectively achieve set goals.
Let's have good working relationship amongst ourselves. We are doing very holistic arrangements in DBS. So many things, one a step at a time. We'll get it right this time around. I promise you that.
The chairman of the board of directors of the DBS Asaba, Honorable Austin Chikezie, represented by a member of the board, Pastor Paul Sahon, expressed satisfaction that the state governor appointed someone familiar with the challenges of the state-owned media houses as Commissioner for Information, and pledged the resolve of the board to work with him to meet set objectives.
We are happy that the man who knows the affairs, the state of affairs of this place, has come on board as the State Commissioner for Information. And we do know that you will tackle it headlong in conjunction with the board. I want to say that the board is very, very disposed to work with you.
The general manager of the DBS Asaba, Mrs. Christine Jobome Metulu, who commended the commissioner for the visit, said the establishment would remain resolute in its efforts at promoting government's policies and programs. Mrs. Emetulu highlighted some of the challenges facing the office to include lack of vehicles, lack of ICT equipment, lack of furniture, and deplorable office structure.
Delta Broadcasting Service is charged as an establishment to propagate the programs and policies of the state government. And this role we have been performing and will continue to perform, especially in line with the moral agenda of the Delta state government. However, certain challenges have hindered our ability to perform optimally. These include transmission equipment, digital equipment for production of news and programs, lack of adequate ICT facilities, the obsolete electrical situation in the offices, absence of vehicles.
Some staff stressed the need for training and retraining of workers and a conducive working environment, among other issues, and pledged their readiness to work amicably with the board and management to achieve set goals.
You spoke to us not as Honorable Commissioner. You spoke to us as friend of Delta Broadcasting Service. And also, we realize that you are very familiar with this terrain.
Sir, we are aware that the government wants to procure a transmitter for DBS Asaba. We want to beg, sir, that DBS should be part of the production of that transmitter.
The issue of training of staff should be looked into.
Caroline Ubini reporting.
The State Commissioner for Works, Highways and Urban Roads, Comrade Ruben Izeze, has assured the people of Igboide in Ugeli South local government area and Ayakoromo community in Borutu local government area that Governor Sheriff Oborewori will complete the Ayakoromo Bridge project for the overall development of the areas. Speaking during an inspection tour of the project at the weekend, Comrade Izeze said Governor Sheriff Oborewori, being a man of his words, was desirous of bringing the bridge construction to logical conclusion for the benefit of the people. He described Governor Oborewori as a promise keeper, disclosing that he was at the project site at the instance of the governor to ascertain the level of work done so far by the contracting firm, as well as the challenges affecting the project. The commissioner, who was in company of the Deputy Director Highways in the Ministry of Works, Mr. Victor Oputa, and other engineers of the ministry, apologized to the people of Igboide and Ayakoromo communities for the long abandonment of the project, appealing to them to keep faith with the governor. He commended the administration of former Governor Senator Ifeanyi Okowa for reactivating the project by determining the existing contract and bringing on board a reputable firm, Setraco, for the project. Welcoming the commissioner earlier, the Deputy Director Highways in the Ministry of Works, Mr. Victor Oputa, said the Ayakoromo Bridge, which is 612 kilometers long with 18 spans of 34 meters each, would boost the businesses of residents of the two communities and in their environs. The Delta State Contributory Health Commission has called on political leaders, well-to-do individuals in Oshimile North local government area, and indeed all Deltans at home and abroad, to purchase health insurance for the less privileged in their environment. The Director General of the Commission, Dr. Isaac Apoveta, made a call at the flag of the Indigent Enrollee Adoption Initiative in Ibuzo, Oshimile North local government area. Bridget Agetu completes the report.
Dr. Apoveta said the Indigent Enrollee Adoption Initiative was a clarion call to all well-meaning Deltans to support their constituents to live better lives. He explained that purchasing health insurance for an individual will enable such a person to access quality health care without fear of paying high medical bills. The Director General commended the member representing Oshimile North in the State House of Assembly, Honorable Frank Estienwa, for the purchase of health insurance cards for 200 members of his constituency who had been enrolled and listed by the Contributory Health Commission to receive quality health care in any hospital of their choice in the state.
It is a program where we expect the rich to help the poor. And I'm glad that people have taken into it, and they are doing very well.
He also appreciated Governor Sheriff Oborewori for his support to the commission. In his remark, Honorable Frank Esenwa said the enrollment of indigent members of the community was to improve healthcare in the area for a productive and healthy society.
Insurance is something that we pull up so much. Little money here and there to serve a lot of people. And I said, well, I'm here to represent my people, and if they can bring this volume inside, this token, why not? So that's it. And I just came up with the idea 200 and start with 200.
The chairman of the Contributory Health Commission, Dr. Austin Obidi, enjoined all Deltans to key into the health insurance scheme, adding that a healthy society will enhance the development of the state and the country in general.
The message to those Deltans, those of us who have been blessed to the extent that we're better than our compatriots, is to lend a helping hand.
Some of the new enrollees thanked the state governor and Honorable Frank Esenwa for the gesture.
Very, very beautiful. He has tried a lot. Had it been others had been trying like this, beautiful number like this, but don't change.
It's okay. Honorable Frank Esenwa was later honored by the State Contributory Health Commission with the award of Health Insurance Ambassador of Oshimile North. Bridget Agetu reporting.
President Bola Tinubu has asked Qatari captains of industry to report any Nigerian official who demands any form of bribe before allowing them to do business in the country. He insisted that Nigeria would no longer be held back by its past dotted with bureaucratic bottlenecks and corruption that stifled the ease of doing business. The president, in a statement signed by his special advisor on media and publicity, Ajuri Ngelale, also assured the international business community that Nigeria was ready for serious business, as his administration would deal decisively with any and all entrenched interest in the country that undermined investors' confidence in the Nigerian economy. He also pledged to remove all bottlenecks standing in the way of profitable and legitimate enterprises, enjoining them not to let their perceptions become a hindrance to their will to invest, as Nigeria was serious about revolutionizing investment promotions. The president told the investors that Africa's largest economy and its systems were being reformed and upgraded, reaffirming his call on Qatar businessmen to report any government official who demanded bribe or any form of inducement at any point in their business endeavor moving forward, with full assurance of their direct access to him. He assured investors that their funds would find easy mobility in and out of the economy, stressing that the war against corruption and insecurity in Nigeria had been significantly strengthened with the appointment of the former chairman of the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, EFCC, Mr. Nuhu Ribadu, as National Security Advisor. The Minister of State for Health and Social Welfare, Dr. Tunji Alausa, has said the federal government plans to send some medical personnel abroad for training in certain specialties with a view to checking medical tourism and enhancing research. Dr. Alausa said the Federal Ministry of Health was working with the National Postgraduate Medical College, Ijanikin, Lagos State, towards the plan. The health minister spoke in Lagos at the investiture of Dr. Peter Ebegbe as the 23rd president of the National Postgraduate Medical College, Ijanikin. Ebegbe, a fellow in the Faculty of Obstetrics and Gynecology, was elected on December 1, 2023 during the 131st statutory meeting of the governing board of the college, and he is expected to hold the position for the next 2 years after taking over from the immediate past president, Dr. Akinsanya Osibogun. Delivering a speech at the ceremony, Dr. Alausa said the ministry was developing new curricula to solve the challenges in the health sector. The National Institute of Credit Administration has called for a credit system that allows students and players in the informal sector to access credit for their education and scale up their businesses. In a statement on Sunday, the body charged with control, supervision, and regulation of the credit management profession said that a country that promotes a viable consumer credit system enables individuals to buy goods, access services on credit, and pay later. Chief Executive Officer of NICA, Professor Chris Onalo, the institute said a developed credit system would reduce cash transactions by enabling individuals borrow to finance exigencies and other cogent projects, thereby helping to stimulate domestic production and foster economic growth. Professor Onalo stated that stakeholders in Consumer Credit Services Administration include the informal sector, the low-income earners, artisans, SMEs, associations under the agriculture sector, cooperative societies, Association of Importers and Exporters, Association of Market Women, supervisory workers, middle-class managers and their families, students in tertiary institutions, and other critical stakeholders. He added that access to credit for that segment of the economy would enable them to feel the impact of the economy more. You're watching the Delta Television main news. Still to come, US President or US Supreme Court strikes down efforts to disqualify former president from Colorado primaries. Details shortly. Stay tuned. You're welcome back to the Delta Television main news. The global scene is next as we join our world news desk.
The U.S. Supreme Court today handed former President Mr. Donald Trump a major victory as he campaigns to regain the presidency, overturning a judicial decision that had excluded him from Colorado's ballot under a constitutional provision involving insurrection for inciting and supporting the January 6, 2021 Capitol attack. The justices unanimously reversed a December 19 decision by Colorado's top court to kick Mr. Trump off the state's Republican primary ballot tomorrow, after finding that the U.S. Constitution's 14th Amendment disqualified him from again holding public office. Mr. Trump is the forerunner for the Republican nomination to challenge Democratic President Joe Biden in the November 5 U.S. election. His only remaining rival for his party's nomination is former South Carolina Governor Miss Nikki Haley. The 14th Amendment Section 3 bars from office any officer of the United States who took an oath to support the Constitution of the United States and then engaged in insurrection or rebellion against the same, or giving aid or comfort to the enemies thereof. The justices found that only Congress can enforce the provision against federal office holders and candidates. Mr. Trump was also barred from the ballot in Maine and Illinois based on the 14th Amendment, but those decisions were put on hold pending the Supreme Court's ruling in the Colorado case. Mr. Trump's eligibility had been challenged in court by a group of 6 voters in Colorado, 4 Republicans and 2 independents who portrayed him as a threat to American democracy and sought to hold him accountable for the January 6, 2021 attack on the U.S. Capitol by his supporters. The plaintiffs were backed by Citizens for Responsibility and Ethics in Washington, a liberal watchdog group. The Supreme Court resolved the Colorado ballot dispute speedily, a timeline that stands in contrast to its slower handling of Mr. Trump's bid for immunity from criminal prosecution in a federal case in which he faces charges for trying to overturn his 2020 election laws. Mr. Trump's trial has been put on hold, awaiting the outcome of the Supreme Court's decision, a benefit for him as he campaigns against Joe Biden. Somalia has become a full member of the East African Community, EAC, after completing all the steps required to gain complete membership of the regional bloc. The EAC Secretariat today shared on X that Somalia had gained full membership after depositing her instrument of ratification with the Secretary General of the bloc. The instrument of ratification is a formal document issued by a country in which it agrees to be bound by a treaty. Last November, the heads of state of the other EAC member states agreed to admit Somalia into the bloc. Somalia becomes the 8th member of the EAC after Burundi, Democratic Republic of Congo, Kenya, South Sudan, Tanzania, Rwanda, and Uganda. The move is intended to boost economic growth in the country, which is still recovering from 3 decades of war. The Algeria government has pledged to support Mozambique in the fight against kidnapping and the jihadist insurgency, primarily affecting the northern province of Cabo Delgado. The agreement comes after Mozambique President Filipe Nyusi's 4-day visit to Algeria. President Nyusi told journalists that Algeria had promised immediate support for the local force, the one that is fighting terrorism. He added that the North Africa country would train their forces and send equipment to help them in their fight against jihadist groups. The two countries have deep historical ties, as the first guerrillas for Mozambique's liberation war were trained in Algeria. The Algeria pledges comes at a time when reports from Cabo Delgado say jihadists passed through Quinsanga on Friday night, stole food, and created panic. The gas and ruby-rich province of Cabo Delgado has been a magnet for Islamist groups seeking to exploit its natural resources.
Back on the home front, the state government has indicated its willingness to partner with the management of Taisha Integrated Service Limited, an indigenous recycling company. The Commissioner for Environment, Honorable Tommy Jamani, stated this shortly after receiving a proposal on remodeling of waste management scheme from the Managing Director, Taisha Integrated Services Limited, presentation on integrated waste facilities in Asaba. Henry Unogwa reports.
Honorable Jamani described the Sustainable Waste Management Program as a welcome development, saying the state government was ready to welcome any project or program that would promote the more agenda of the state governor. He commended the management of the company for the steps taken to ensure the support of a cleaner Delta state by creating programs which would convert waste to wealth. The commissioner noted that the state government had invested in the establishment of the recycling facility, adding that the proposal from the private company, if considered, would go a long way to sustain the environment.
Because the government of Delta State spent huge money in building that facility, but up to now, we've not gotten the benefits of the money the government spent in building that facility. So I believe if this proponent, after he has given us his proposal, will study if the proposal favors the government and the people of Delta, the department in charge, sanitary waste management, they will do the recommendation.
The Managing Director, Taisha Integrated Service Limited, Mr. Mubazak Mahmood, said the proposed remodeling of the waste management scheme for the state is not just for waste collection, but to create wealth for the state. He said if the proposal is approved, the company would embark on a wider spectrum of waste management, which covers the area of recycling and sourcing of waste from the environment. He noted that the company would promote economic change, encourage development, and provide job opportunities for the youths, and assure Deltans of continued process that would be beneficial to all, as the company would provide refuse collection vehicles to decongest waste.
We are a mercenary of change. We are a mercenary for development to the populace, and our duty in Delta State primarily is to serve the locals here and to ensure that they are able to enjoy adequate welfare. They are equally able to find job employment opportunities under the management of our own operations here. At the same time, we're also trying to look for sustainable ways to improve the society and the areas altogether geographically.
Henry Onogwa reporting.
There are indicators that efforts by the federal government to curb the rising inflation will lead to a 5 trillion naira cash mop-up from the banking industry as the Central Bank of Nigeria, CBN, implements the hike in bank's cash reserve ratio, CRR, to 45%. The CRR, which represents banks' cash reserves for purposes of meeting cash obligations on demand, was moved from 32.5% to 45% in apparent bid to curtail inflation. Report says the Apex Bank is now working with some foreign portfolio investors to address concerns over recent reforms introduced in the foreign exchange market, as well as the 400 basis points hike in the monetary policy rate, MPR. This is one of the outcomes of the virtual meeting tagged Foreign Portfolio Investors Call, organized in collaboration with the NGX Group, addressed by the CBN Governor, Mr. Olayemi Kadoso, and the Deputy Governor, Economic Policy in the CBN, Mr. Mohammed Abdullahi, moderated by the Group Managing Director and Chief Executive Officer of NGX Group, Mr. Temi Popola. Speaking at the meeting with FPIs in response to inquiries about the impact of the hike on banking system liquidity, the CBN Deputy Governor, Mr. Abdullahi, said the banking system had a shortfall of 5 trillion naira to meet the 45% CRR. He, however, said the Apex Bank will not debit the bank's 5 trillion naira at once, adding that the Apex Bank would implement the new CRR in a way that would not be disruptive to the industry. According to the CBN Deputy Governor, some banks had already surpassed the 45% CRR and would be refunded the excess, while banks with shortfall would have built up their cash reserves. The state government has reiterated its commitment towards ensuring a secured and better capital territory. The Director General of the Delta State Capital Territory Development Agency, Chief Patrick Uka, stated this when he paid a condolence visit to the family of the late Asaba of Asaba, will be Professor Chike Edozie. Gloria Otolo reports.
Chief Uka, who led some executive members of the office to the palace, sympathized with the family of the late monarch, noting that the late Asaba had good dreams for the capital territory, as he had attracted lots of development to Asaba and the state in general. The Director General, who went down memory lane, said his relationship with the late Professor Chike Edozie could not be undermined, enjoining the family to keep hope alive as their patriarch had led a good legacy.
After territory has connected us again, and I think it was just in September I assumed this position. I came here with my team to tell him that we're in his territory, to seek his blessing, and to discuss so many things with him. And I remember vividly well that he took me into the inner room, and we had over an hour chat. And I know the dreams he had for this territory and in particular for Asaba. That dream will not die because we have shared it, and we believe strongly that that dream will come true, and that is for a better Asaba.
In his remarks, the third son of the late monarch, Mr. Louis Edozie, an engineer who received the guest on behalf of the regent, thanked the visitors for their words of comfort and pledged to sustain the relationship. Mr. Uka, who is also the captain of Ibori Golf Course and Country Club, on behalf of the golf club, condoled with the family of the Asaba, who was patron of the club. He said the club was planning a one-year memorial tournament in honor of the late Asaba. Prince Edozie thanked the golf club for the honor done his late father, assuring them of the family's cooperation and support in their activities. Gloria Otolo reporting.
And now to sports. Boxing promoter Eddie Hearn has said that former heavyweight champion Anthony Joshua cannot afford to lose to ex-UFC champion Francis Ngannou when they meet on Saturday in Saudi Arabia. Briton Joshua has put together a confident three-fight win streak since suffering 2 consecutive defeats to Alexander Usyk, and is hoping to land a new title shot in 2024. The experienced Joshua will go into the contest as the bookies' favorite, despite Ngannou's impressive performance against Tyson Fury on his boxing debut. Joshua has won 27 fights and lost 3, while Ngannou was defeated in his only professional bout. World Boxing Council WBC belt holder Fury will face Ukraine's unified champion Usyk in May, also in Saudi capital Riyadh. The winner will be crowned the first undisputed heavyweight champion in the 4-belt era. That's our news. Next is the thoughts for the day. Life is ironic. It takes sadness to appreciate happiness. noise to appreciate silence, and absence to value presence. To end Delta Television main news, a recap of the major stories. Governor Sheriff Oborevwori has called on Deltans to embrace peace to pave way for increased government presence in their areas. Governor Oborevwori made a call while addressing some traditional rulers, community leaders, security agents and others in an advocacy workshop at the Government House Annex, Warri South Local Government Area. The state government has pledged its readiness to give its media organizations a facelift. The State Commissioner for Information, Dr. Ifeanyi Osoza, made the pledge while addressing management and staff of Delta Broadcasting Service, DBS Asaba, as part of his familiarization tour of parastatals under his ministry. The Minister of State for Health and Social Welfare, Dr. Tunji Alausa, has said the federal government's plans to send some medical personnel abroad for training is certain in certain specialties with a view to checking medical tourism and enhancing research. Dr. Alausa said the Federal Ministry of Health was working with the National Postgraduate Medical College, Ijanikim, Lagos State, towards the plan. So much for Delta Television main news. On behalf of the news editor and the production team, this is Onome Iyarowe thanking you for watching. Good night.